When MJF calls himself generational, that's not just a catchphrase. MJF is a generational talent, and in my eyes, the most important wrestler in all of AEW. And today, I'm gonna list reasons why. Welcome to the Wrestling Universe channel. My name is Cosk, and today I am going to tell you why MJF is the most important wrestler in AEW. We're gonna start out with reason number one, and that is MJF is consistently the most over, or one of the most over acts in the entire company. This has been true since its inception, basically. After maybe the first 3 months, MJF, as a young talent who wasn't really well known before the company, was already one of the most over acts in his feud with Cody Rhodes. This would continue to develop into the Moxley program, where he was one of the most over acts in the company once again, going for the world title. And it's been a test of time. We've seen it over and over again. We saw it with Punk, we saw it with Wardlow, and we're seeing it right now as undoubtedly the most over act in not just AEW, but arguably professional wrestling, was better than New Baby. It's been going on for months, and MJF consistently stays the most over act in pro wrestling. I actually have a story for this. When I went to All In, and I brought friends who never really watched pro wrestling. They were just there for the environment, and they left with better than New Baby shirts. The only time they've truly reacted to the show was when Better Than You Baby was on it. They are incredibly over, and I think MJF deserves large credit for that, although Adam Cole has done his part too. Now, my second reason why MJF is the most important wrestler in AEW is that he's a homegrown star. You might be asking, why is it so important for someone to be a homegrown star? Why does it make you one of the most important wrestlers in AEW if you're a top guy who happens to be homegrown? Well, to me, I think there's a lot of reasons. I think for one, it's good for PR. When you have a homegrown star as your top star of the company, it shows the world you can create stars, and someone you can put on the posters, you can put as a top guy, and no one can really say, oh, he's just an ex-WWE, ex-NJPW guy. He is homegrown. He has a better attachment to the audience because they've seen his story since day one of the company, and you don't have to be watching another company to see them develop. You can see them develop from day one of your company to the modern day. MJF does have experience in MLW, for example, but AEW is by far the biggest platform he's been a part of. And I feel like this has created an attachment to him that the AEW audience has that they don't really have with a lot of other guys. Even though they're homegrown guys, the only people I feel like the AEW audience has this sort of attachment to is maybe the likes of Darby Allin and what is not homegrown, John Moxley. But even then, it's much less than they do with the MJF. Now, my final reason, and this is multiple reasons crammed into one, and that is MJF is the full package. This is the most important reason on the list, and let me explain. When it comes to MJF, he excels at everything, and that's what makes him so important. He can be a great heel, a fantastic heel, the best heel in the business, but then he can switch it up and be the best babyface in the business. So if you need a top heel, you have MJF. If you need a top babyface, you have MJF. That's versatility, and that's what makes MJF so important. And moving on to talking about what makes MJF so important to AEW, if you need someone to cut a great promo, if you need someone to sell a feud and have a great feud, you have MJF. But you need someone to pay off that feud and have a fantastic match to end it, you have MJF. If you want the feud to be lighthearted, you have MJF. He can make it lighthearted. He can go with jokes. He can build up the audience for stupid stuff like suicide dives and kangaroo kicks. But if you need a serious blood feud, you have MJF. And this is the main reason why I'm putting MJF as the most important wrestler in AEW. Because he's the full package. He can do anything. And listening to previous reasons, the fact he's so homegrown, as I said, makes it feel like AEW scored huge. Putting him on the posters is like, hey, look at this guy we found from a much smaller company and we've put at the forefront of ours. The fact he's so young means he can do this for another decade or two. He is the most phenomenal wrestler in the company. He's absolutely great. He's consistently the most over person on this program because of the reasons we've mentioned. Because he can excel at being a heel, because he can excel at being a babyface, because he can have a great promo, a great match. Reasons like this means that every time MJF is on your screen, he is must watch, and that is the most important aspect of professional wrestling, becoming must watch. Because that sells tickets, that buys interest, and that makes you want to watch the show. When there's a guy who can do anything, that's vital to a promotion. If you have a guy who's a one-trick pony, they can be great. But at the same time, if you don't necessarily need their skill at a certain time period, then they're going to kind of fade away. But MJF never fades away. He's always one of the most important aspects of the company. He's always in the most important feuds in the company. And that's because he's a full package. That's because he can do it all. And that's because he's generational. But what do you guys think? Do you believe that MJF is the most important wrestler in AEW? And do you agree with the reasons I listed here? Let me know in the comments below if you're interested in content like this. Subscribe for more. It would mean the world to me. Thank you for joining. Have a nice day.